Welcome to Keep It at Real Estate, Episode 3. I'm your host, Kevin D. McPherson, and I have my co-host and broker, Rebecca Soller. And today we have Rick Davis with HWA Home Warranty in the studio. Welcome, Rick.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, anytime.
So, Rick, we were so glad to have you a few weeks ago visit us as a brokerage and talk to the agents about home warranties. It has been years since we had a salesman, rep,
Right.
come and speak to us, and I felt like we needed to be convinced of its importance. You did a good job explaining them to me at the conference.
Yeah.
Maybe won over to home warranties when I haven't been in the past. So thank you for coming. And we just want to be able to educate our buyers and sellers about home warranties and how it can benefit them. How long have you been in the home warranty business?
I got into home warranty in 2020, actually the month before COVID. So that was fun, kind of a fun transition, starting a new part of my career. I've been in the real estate industry since 2015, but home warranty for going on 5 years now. So absolutely love it. It's a valuable tool, but we'll get into that later in the podcast.
Well, great.
Yeah.
And so home warranty is different from homeowners insurance, correct?
It absolutely is. The easiest way to think about that is the homeowner's insurance actually covers the physical house itself. So the four walls, the roof, the furnishings, typically against major damages caused by nature, fire, flood, tornadoes, obviously. Regrettably. Home warranty is a little bit different. We cover the systems that actually operate the house. So if you think of the plumbing, the electric, appliances, cooling and heating, those are the main things that a home warranty is going to cover.
So PEACH would be a good acronym?
Absolutely. That's a very much an industry standard that we use, and it's an easy acrostic for people to remember. And they say our company color is orange. I think it's more of a peach color.
There you go. There you go. Great.
Are there any specific exclusions or limitations that a homeowner should be aware of, like anything that a home warranty wouldn't cover? I know you named off a few things there, but...
There are things that we're a very black and white, very specific industry. So we think of actuarials, like, CPAs on steroids. They're the ones that kind of determine what we cover, what we don't cover.
Oh, okay.
Our terms and conditions, and this is industry-wide, very specific. If there are certain things that aren't covered, that is going to be in the black and white documents that we send out to the homeowner. So, with some good research, they're going to know that. Kind of an interesting one, which kind of just threw me. We do have pest coverage that's an add-on that we can add on to the coverage. But, for example, it will cover mice, but it won't cover rats.
What?
So it's just weird, some weird quirky things, but that's why it's so important to do research. And that's something I really harp on, is not just the homeowners, but also the realtors to do research.
Yeah. I feel like for years when I was a new agent, we'd say, oh, the plan's $550. And that meant we were selling the exact same plan or suggesting it. We weren't selling it, but making it aware to our buyers. But that was a specific price point. And
Correct.
Of course, you can get more covered and it might cost you a little higher premium, but there's all different plans and packages, right?
Absolutely. And typically every home warranty company out there, they're going to have different levels that you can purchase from. There's going to be different add-ons. So there are things that are automatically included. There are things that you can add on. So if you think about even your medical insurance, your dental insurance, car insurance, homeowners insurance, you can pick and choose what you want to have covered, what you don't want to have covered. Again, PEACH is the industry standard, for what all home warranty companies are going to be offering. And one thing that's also important to know is when a realtor does mention, that $550 or whatever dollar amount you're putting out there, it's not an end all be all. So I'll hear realtors state, oh, you pay $550 and it's going to cover everything 100%. It's absolutely not the case. So home warranties are designed to offset costs where it will help the homeowner save money. And a lot of times our claims are paid at 100%, but there are a lot of times where there may be some things that are not covered or not included. Perfect example is with a water heater. If a homeowner wants to get a tankless water heater and the traditional one needs to be replaced, they can absolutely do that, but they will end up paying for the rerouting the water line to get from a big unit to a small unit. So there may be some out of pockets here and there.
Okay.
So if you're not good at saving money, this may be a good option for you. Like if you don't have like $8,000 laying around to replace your central unit or something.
And, that's absolutely a great point to bring up. And we're a very statistics driven world anymore. First year homeowners, and I usually lead with this statistic, first year homeowners, 77% are going to have some sort of a repair that could be covered under home warranty. That same pool of people, 57% don't have an extra $1,000 to pay for that repair.
I
That's a
could
big
see
deal.
that, like, you're buying a home, you're doling out a lot of cash, so.
For the closing costs
Right,
and
yeah.
Oh yeah, scrimping and saving, bringing every penny you can. So it's something that this comes up too. It's our home warranties required because homeowners insurance is required. It's part of your mortgage payment unless you have paid a certain percent down.
Right.
Home warranties are not required, but having been around it for the last 5 years, I 100% believe it's something that is a strong necessity. For that $500 or $600 a year, you could have it for 10 years, never file a claim. But if your air conditioner unit goes out and it's $6,000 to replace it, you broke even. So to me, it's a tremendous investment in offsetting cost and protecting your biggest investment of your life.
yeah.
That brings me to my next question. How does the deductible work?
It's going to be very similar to if you go to your doctor for your annual
Okay.
checkup. You're going to pay a $50 or $60
I never go to the
office
doctor.
visit.
Okay.
It's so home warranty is set up. There's going to be anywhere from a $75 to $125 deductible. So a homeowner would, and I'll just jump into how the claim process works because it's an integral part of that. So if something quits working, the homeowner would call or go to the computer, open up a claim. There would be a deductible with our company. It's $100. There is an add-on that can bring it down to $75. So basically $75 or $100. The homeowner pays to the technician when they first come to the house.
Yeah, okay.
So whenever they open up the claim, they tell us what's going on, what's not working. We put that in the system, and actually we'll determine right there if it's something that would potentially be covered or something that would not be covered. So I had one just the other day where they had called in and opened up a claim on their septic system, but they didn't have septic coverage. So we were able to tell them before they got somebody sent out there and paid the $100, and no, that's not covered. And people were frustrated, to try to offset that. And once a technician comes out and diagnoses what's going on, they get back in touch with us. We determine the level of if it will be covered, if it's going to be a repair, if it's going to be a replacement, if there are going to be any out-of-pocket costs for the homeowner. All that is done up front so the homeowner knows what's going on.
Okay. So if I've got an issue with my air conditioner not blowing cold and we file a claim, tech comes out, how long do I typically wait before I get cold air again?
Well, first of all, every claim is different. So, but just talking generalities, we have two different levels of how claims are addressed from the very beginning. They're either emergency situations or non-emergency. So if your dishwasher is not working, it's not an emergency. It's an inconvenience, but it's not an emergency. If it's in the summer with your air conditioning, winter with your furnace, if there's active water line break in the house, those are emergencies. Our expectation is you will hear from somebody within 24 hours on those. That is setting up the appointment with the tech. That is an industry just expectation.
Mhm.
Most of the time, it's a lot quicker. I had a situation 2 weeks ago. We were out of town, came home, my air conditioner would not shut off. So it was like 68 degrees in my house. On a Sunday afternoon, I called, opened up a claim. Within an hour, it had been assigned to a technician. And then what happens then is I was emailed their contact information. The appointment was originally scheduled for the following Friday. They called us Monday morning and said, can we come Tuesday afternoon? So
fairly quick, but
pretty quick.
but it could be several days.
It absolutely could be.
Yep.
And if you're talking middle of July with air conditioning, whether the homeowners have a home warranty or don't, it could be up to a week.
Yeah,
until
technicians are busy.
Absolutely.
It's first come, first served basis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you had mentioned something I just want to bring up. You had mentioned septic,
Mhm.
and that in your example, it wasn't covered. I was surprised when you spoke with us a couple weeks ago that you can add septic
Mhm.
to your warranty and also pool coverage. And you said it was just for the plumbing of the pool.
For the pump and the pipes, it's not going to cover a liner. For the most part, if you think it's things that have moving parts, that's typically what is going to be covered under home warranty. Pipes have water flowing through them, electrical. I mean, it's just a wire, but it has electricity flowing through it. But yeah, it's
So,
very nice.
Yeah, there's a lot you can add on.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm. There's a whole list of additional things outside of the peach that you can do.
Hey, Rick, what is something a homeowner should consider when choosing a home warranty?
There's a lot of companies out there. If that was where you're going with the question. So it really, what I would do if I was not in the industry is I would research who has a local rep in the area. I think it's important that there's a rep that knows the territory that they're in, that kind of know the ins and outs of the industry. A company that's been around for a while, a company that is, for example, probably the top 3 or 4 companies have all been around at least 20 years plus. That's what I would look for, is someone has longevity. You can look up the reviews online.
Are there any red flags we should look for?
Yeah, and reviews are interesting things because typically people that leave reviews are typically people that have had a bad experience.
Yeah, you don't know about the good ones a lot of times.
Not a lot. And the home warranty industry does have kind of, I don't want to say a bad reputation, but it's a challenging reputation because the way people look at me is based on what a third party does. It goes into somebody's house. So what we do to work around that is anytime there's a claim that's closed, we send a survey out to the homeowner to see how they went. And that's how we rank the technicians that we use. So the ones that have the very high survey rankings, they get first choice at a claim. And then after about an hour and a half, it opens up the pool to everybody. So we do audit them every month, which is a nice thing of everybody in the industry, they're going to be licensed and bonded. But we also vet ours on a monthly basis just to make sure that they're doing well.
So if no one shows up,
Which
technician
happens. Yeah,
has accepted the job, but then doesn't come out.
Mhm.
What do we do as the homeowner?
The one thing that's nice is you have their contact information. You have the email and the phone number. Hopefully the tech has called and said, we're stuck at a job that took longer than we thought. We'll get there later. We'll get there tomorrow. If they just no call, no show, or say they happen to get sideways with a homeowner, that's why it's so important to have a local rep that the homeowner can get in touch with or the realtor can get in touch with. Then we can step in and intercede. And that's another reason why it's great to have a home warranty in general is we have the power of being in all 50 states. We have the power of working with these same techs day in and day out, week over week, where someone that is just on their own may just end up calling somebody that they know out of the blue. They don't have the power that, a large company will. And it does happen, regrettably. So typically what I would do is I would get in touch with my claims manager and we can escalate the claim. So what I like to say is I'm in sales, I'm not in claims, but I can get a hold of the claims manager and we can get it back on track.
And if nobody will come to our area over a specific claim, then what would happen?
We actually give that option pretty early to the homeowner. Even during the process of us trying to find a tech to come out. So after like that hour and a half, we will send an email to the homeowner stating, we're still looking for somebody. If you know someone that can do the work for you, they can call in and take over the claim. And what's nice is we're going to pay that tech their regular rate because they're helping us out. The reason why home warranty works is we contract with different providers at a discounted rate, but we give them a large volume of business. So it's kind of a give and take situation. We're not going to force somebody that's helping us out to take a discounted rate. It's just not right.
Yeah. Okay. That's good to know.
So, and the other option we give the homeowner too is if they want to just get the work done and pay for it themselves, they can submit that receipt for reimbursement. But we do have to have the diagnosis before we can authorize that.
So still make the claim
100%.
and never skip that step. You've got to initiate the claim and not just send in a receipt.
Absolutely. And 24/7, 365, there's someone on the phone or on the computer. With AI technology these days, if you're doing it on the computer, you don't even know that you're not talking to a person.
Scary. Okay, so I'm new convert to home warranties.
Okay.
All right. In the past, we had issues with people coming to our area. We don't have any. We're rural here, and a lot of our contractors or subcontractors are not signed on with a home warranty company. So, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, I would have a house that I was managing that had a home warranty, and the owners are like, call a home warranty company. And 3 days later, we don't have anyone coming. And so I'm like, why would you get a home warranty if you live in an area where no one will serve it? Knowing now that some companies, your company, HWA, will honor that warranty no matter what, even if it has to be a local tech doing that, that doesn't normally work for you all. That's awesome. So that being said, home warranties can be an attractive option for a seller to put in their listing. So I've got this house. It's all these great things. And I'm willing to provide a full warranty. It's just another little, like, something special out there for a home seller to do. Buyers are the ones we always talk to about it, it seems like. You know, I haven't in the past, and I don't know if you have, I don't normally go to my sellers, do you want to offer a home warranty? I think I'm going to change that now. But normally we bring up home warranty because in the contract, it discusses it.
Right.
To bring it up every time. So the home warranty is normally on the contract paid for by the seller, paid for by the buyer, or equally split. And you could even change that. You could say 3/4, quarter, however.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, let's make it complicated.
We love complicated. Or asking the seller to pay for it, or it always cracks me out that on an offer you would have to say, I want a home warranty and I'm paying for it. Like, because anybody can get a home warranty, correct?
Absolutely. And it does not even have to be part of a transaction. 10 years down the road, absolutely.
Okay. So it could be attractive for sellers to start putting that in their listing that they will offer it.
So here's a great way to think about that. So you have a house on 7 Main Street. Kevin has a house listed on 9 Main Street. Identical floor plans that were built at the same time. You have them priced competitively with each other. They're basically identical. Well, yours is better, of course. But if you talk to your sellers and say, let's go ahead and get a listing coverage, or we call it a seller's coverage. It's being a real estate guy, I always call it listing coverage. It's something that doesn't cost them anything. It's something that's going to give them up to $3,000.
Can you repeat that? How much does it cost?
It's free. And here's the reality is it's a loss leader for us. So whenever a seller's coverage is put onto a house, the expectation is the buyer's coverage will be part of it. So your sellers are going to go ahead and provide a buyer's warranty. But if I am the buyer's agent and my clients want to live on Main Street because it's the best street to live on, there's 2 different houses that are identical. This one already has a home warranty on it. And the fact for us, and the reason why we do this as a company, is once that buyer is there, if there's an early claim, we already have historical data on the house because there was a seller's coverage on there for up to 6 months.
That's
So
neat.
it's a great marketing tool.
Yeah.
Is that the longest that you'll do a seller's coverage?
We do it for 6 months. We can extend it for another
Okay.
6 months. So if you have a house on the market for a year, I think that's between you and Rebecca.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother conversation.
You're only
So-
competing for a few months with me.
Yeah.
Well, so that's something we in this office really took away from meeting with you a few weeks ago, that we need to do. We do a great job with our buyers and sellers, but we need to talk home warranty with our sellers. And I mean, how can you argue with free? They're
And
always
it's also
gonna
a
think
nice
there's
thing-
catch, though, right?
There's always a catch. There's a small one, and I'll come back to that here in a second. The one thing that's always nice is, and I'm dealing with this in my personal life. My folks live in Oklahoma, elderly, and we're in the process of moving my folks here. So their house is about to go on the market. We're putting the home warranty on there because they want to turn over that house they've been in for 43 years to the next owners as the best possible way that they can. So having that, seller's coverage converting to a buyer's coverage, they have a sense of peace that they're turning over that to the next owners, just as good as possible.
Yeah.
Just feels good.
It does. It really
Yeah.
does.
Something special in handing it over to the
Right.
new homeowner, the new family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what you did bring up, the one little catch is if they do want to include the HVAC coverage on that seller policy, it is a $50 to do that. And that's an industry standard. So you'll see it across any other company. However, that's not paid up front. That's only paid at closing if the house closes. So that's kind of the hidden secret about seller's coverage, is they can spend the entire $3,000 in getting whatever that may happen to go wrong, at the property. And if for some reason, say the house gets pulled off the market or the home warranty gets negotiated out, it's not ideal, but it's cost of business.
Yeah.
And they are not billed for even for that $50.
So it is a free plan, but it provides it's capped at 3,000
Mhm.
of repairs that might happen while it's just being listed and not sold
Right.
yet.
Right. And that's
Okay.
across all line items, aggregate total.
Okay. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Okay. And so buyers typically are thinking, well, some of these appliances are old and I
Mhm.
don't want to necessarily replace them if they're not broke. But what happens if they break in 2 months and I'm stuck with this big bill?
And the other side of that too is what happens if it breaks in a month or two, and then they go back against the sellers or go back against the listing agent and say, you guys knew this dishwasher was about to break and you never told us. So one great thing about home warranty is it really, for the agent, it gives you some post-sale litigation protection. You can say, well, we did provide a home warranty for just that scenario. The one thing about home warranties, it does need to be a failure due to normal wear and tear. So if it's something that just because it's a 15-year-old water heater and the buyers want to get it replaced, your inspection report, they're going to the inspector will say normal working condition past the end of its normal
End of life.
operational life,
Yeah,
right?
end of life.
And recommend repair or replacement at some point. I mentioned earlier, our industry is very black and white. We look at the first part of that statement. At that point in time, it was normal working condition. Anything after that is just their opinion.
Okay.
And we don't take opinions into consideration.
Okay.
We only look at the facts.
But what about a 20-year-old dishwasher?
So it's within the industry, some companies will cap at 10 years as far as the age of any equipment. With HWA, we have no age restrictions whatsoever. So it can be, 20 years old. It can be a 30-year-old furnace. It can be, a 15-year-old water heater. We will still allow the claim to proceed. It doesn't mean, of course, that they're all going to be approved, that everything's going to be automatically replaced. I mean, again, every claim is different. We don't take age into consideration.
And it doesn't cover like neglect. I can't put a bunch of spoons in my microwave and turn it on and call you and get a new one, right?
Or if you have tall grass growing up through your air conditioning unit in the side yard, we as a company, we do cover unknown pre-existing, but if it's a known pre-existing, it's not going to be covered.
Yeah, okay.
So, and a great example of an unknown pre-existing is, homeowners move into the house, they're wanting to put up new pictures, they're putting nails into the sheetrock to hang the pictures. Well, they clip a water line. They don't know that they clipped a water line until something happens, or they clip an electrical line and it blows the fuse box, 3 weeks later or whatever. That's an unknown pre-existing, and those do get covered as far as being able to have a claim filed.
Pre-existing, how do you know something was pre-existing? Is there an inspection at the beginning of a home warranty policy?
It's not required. So I know when I got into the industry in 2020, when the housing market was just going crazy, people were not doing inspections. So it was a very challenging time, especially for our industry. We do base primarily off of the text diagnosis. So if for some reason you don't get an inspection on a property, then that's a situation that we'll base it on that. Of course, I always recommend getting the inspection because you're not going to buy a car without test driving it.
Right.
It's kind of the same situation.
What are some common misconceptions about home warranties?
The biggest one that I run across is the homeowners are told that it's going to pay 100% of everything. If your dishwasher quits working, you're going to get a brand new dishwasher.
Who's telling them that?
People that are not educated. There's a lot, and that's why I consider most of my job to be education. I do more educating than I do selling, honestly. As an industry, the other thing is we don't never pay claims. If we weren't paying claims, we wouldn't be in business, which sounds kind of weird that we're, doling out money. But if we had the reputation of never paying a claim, nobody would ever use us.
Right.
Yeah.
We do try to repair first. And then if it can't be repaired, and we may try to repair it, maybe, come back for follow-up. If it still can't be repaired, then we'll replace it. But it just is common sense. You try to repair something before you replace it.
Right.
I have a stainless steel refrigerator. Am I going to get a stainless steel refrigerator?
We're going to do comparable to comparable.
Okay.
Another great example, I didn't even know this until the other day. The ductwork up in your attic, there's soft ductwork and there's hard ductwork. So hard ducts are more preferable than soft ducts. And there was a repair that had been done by somebody else, and they had done soft ductwork instead of hard ductwork. And it actually caused a second failure because I guess the amount of insulation they put on it collapsed it. So we are going to do comparable to comparable. So stainless steel, stainless steel. Hard ductwork will be replaced with hard ductwork.
The name brand may be different?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay.
But if you have a very high-end house and you have Wolf or Viking, Sub-Zero, those names, and typically like with a Viking range, it's exceedingly difficult to ever have to replace one. But we do have that high-end coverage on our upper plans. So it is something that, if for some reason a Sub-Zero fridge has to be replaced, they're not going to give you a Kenmore.
It better not.
Yeah.
What is this?
Exactly.
So how many Viking techs do you have in the state?
That's a fantastic question.
There's probably not a whole lot.
No, and that is something that we would vet. We would find out, and we're not going to send someone that just finished their apprenticeship to go work on that.
Yeah. It's probably, they may have to come out from Dallas or Memphis or, some other.
And then there are some in the state that are licensed to do that have those certificates. And we do pay trip charges, which is nice. And even for just local normal claims, say in the Southeast Arkansas area that you all primarily work in, we'll pay the trip charge for somebody from Pine Bluff to come up to Stuttgart if there's nobody in Stuttgart available. So that is something that we try to be very reasonable with.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
People need to know that.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I'm glad that we met last fall.
Yeah.
And that you did your job well.
I kept bugging you.
You got me to stop and listen.
Relentless.
And gave me a bit of education, which I needed. I was anti-home warranty for quite a while because I just thought it was a big waste of money.
And you're not alone in that. And that's why, like I said, I consider my job education more than sales. And when I got in the industry in 2015, I didn't know.
Yeah, I used to think it was like a scam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's important. And being able to teach people about the benefits of it is what makes you a good salesman.
Well, thank you.
That's what I tell our agents, teach, teach, teach. We're doing way more instruction, education, explanations than we are sales.
Yeah, 100%.
So, and you want to be trusted, but you also want to be successful. So I'm so glad that you stopped me and that you even spoke to Kevin when he was there and kind of convinced us easily. And we're not duped so easy.
And
We were born at night, but it wasn't last night.
Home warranty is a good option for people.
It is. And I'll be real, it is challenging in more of the rural areas. It does make more sense in Little Rock maybe than it does in Stuttgart, but that doesn't mean there's not value here. And the homeowners here are just as important as the homeowners anywhere. And my job is to try to put a blanket on as many houses to cover, as possible.
It really kind of offers a peace of mind.
Yeah. Well, we are glad to have you here with us today. And we don't just put anybody's sales brochures up or cards out. We want to make sure that they will really take care of our clients. And that's why we asked you back, because you've assured us that will happen. I had a home warranty fall through right the day before closing. Nobody did their job. We called you all. It was an hour that the title company had the policy taken care of. So we were very thankful about that. And I just want to say one other thing that also made an impression on me. So when did we have our state convention?
It was last September up in Northwest Arkansas.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then in January, I'm doing my E&O insurance policy for the brokerage. And every year, the same questions. It's 8 pages that you fill out, but it's with this year's data. And out of the 7 big areas covered, home warranty is one of them. Now, our E&O is errors and omissions, and it basically says, this is the insurance to cover your butt if you screw up in your profession, if in the transaction we're at fault for something. And home warranty is important to E&O. And I'm like, interesting. So they want to know how many home inspections we have. I get how valuable that is.
Right.
You got to get home inspection. It's your choice, that is, you got to. We have no people pushing. But home warranty is important to E&O. So January, I thought, wow. So it's more important than I was giving it credit for. And so I'm glad you explained it. And now I see the value of what can we do to protect our clients, and really so that they don't fall behind financially their first year or their second year of home ownership. That's what home warranty helps them with, is maybe not taking such a big blow if something breaks. Lenders appreciate it, and so it's important to the whole process. So good.
Absolutely.
I can't believe the words that are coming out of your mouth.
So it's good to grow.
It is.
And to keep learning things. And so we have lots of days of learning. And we're so thankful that you will represent people in rural areas and take care of their needs too. It's a special place. but it's a burden for people to come
Oh, absolutely.
to deliver goods and services. Things cost more when you live in rural areas.
Yeah.
But we love the benefit of living here.
Right.
And so we might have to spend a little more or wait a little more, but hey, when you're in God's country, it's worth it.
Right.
And I grew up in a small town, so I totally get it. Yeah.
My final thoughts on home warranties. If you're not very good at saving money and your budget's already kind of tight, it may be something that you want to consider, especially like in that first year of home ownership.
So more buyers should want that.
They should definitely consider it. Yeah. So.
Let me just tag on that for a second. Something I totally forgot to mention is the sellers are not going to offer home warranty for whatever reason. Your buyers have scrimped and brought every single penny to the closing table. We can do monthly payments, even through an escrow transaction, so that way they have the coverage. You're talking between probably $50 and $65 a month I have our best plan on my house, and I have the lower deductible. I'm paying about $62 a month for full coverage on my house.
Yeah. And if you make a claim every year, you're probably going to save some good money.
It pays for itself.
What if I'm making a lot of claims? Are you going to drop me?
No,
No.
we don't have that. We don't have a cap. We have a cap, a dollar amount
Okay.
per line item, per different area.
I have bad luck. I'm not a crook. I just bad.
The
things
reality
happen.
is, if you renew, it'll probably be at a higher price if you've made a lot of claims.
Oh.
That's just the nature of any insurance.
That's insurance, yeah.
Right.
So there's not a cap of, like, for the seller's coverage, there's a cap of $3,000. Is there a cap for just the home warranty?
Some companies do. Some companies will cap at $15,000 total across all areas
Annually?
Annually, right? So every renewal year, everything resets to zero. With our company, we don't have an aggregate for everything. For example, on HVAC, we'll pay up to $5,000 towards the AC, up to $5,000 towards the furnace, up to $5,000 towards the ductwork. We don't charge for coolant. Electrical, there's different amounts that they'll pay, based on the different categories. But we're not going to say, okay, well, you spent $15,000 with us, you're done.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
It is nice.
Yeah.
So, HWA, thank you so much. We asked you because you're just so good at explaining things.
I appreciate it.
We want our clients and the public to know that you need to pick a good company that is active and reputable in your area. There are more than one company to choose from, and I'm sure there's several options that are good. We only wanted to interview one today because of E and because of that relationship. But do your research and talk to someone.
That's my biggest takeaway is for the homeowner, do the research. Don't, they send out postcards in the mail, random companies do, that may or may not be a legitimate company. The reputable companies have websites. They have longevity in the industry. Of course, I would love everybody to go with my company, but, I'm a realist. Again, do your research. I think it's important to have a local rep that answers their phone. And one thing I will say is every brochure in this state has my contact info. That's not just for the realtors. That's for the homeowners to call me as well. And they do.
That's great. 24/7 occupation.
Never stops, does it?
No, it doesn't. I work the real estate hours, which are all of them.
Yeah. You.
Well, Rick, thanks for stopping by today. We really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments, hit the like and subscribe button. And until next time, this is Kevin D. McPherson.
And Rebecca Seiler.
And we're keeping it real estate.